Saint Helena is an island in the South Atlantic Ocean completely isolated from the rest of the world. This was the island Napoleon was banished to at the end of his life to make sure he's as isolated as possible so he'll never return to power. Today we're going to try to turn this little island into a massive empire and conquer the Atlantic by becoming a war machine. Let's begin. As I start the game, I justify on Ghana and Ivory Coast because taking the West Africa is easiest for small countries because there are no threats and they have a decent population, and I make an electronic and fertilizer to sell and get static lines. And of course, max research, education, and government spending. I'm going to get the political elite policy because political power is very important. So I'm just gonna keep taking West Africa, starting with Ghana. Now that Ghana is taken over, I wait for the unrest to go down and then make tanks as soon as possible. Tanks are far more manpower efficient and better at taking cities, so it's important that I get them as fast as possible since I don't get much manpower. Now I'm just chatting because I'm hoping the server is more alive when people chat, when suddenly the Russian player wanted to target me and I didn't know why he did, but for some reason he just wanted to fully focus on ending my run. He never made factories, he never invaded any nation except me, and he never did a single thing other than declaring on me, and I just don't understand his motives. I allied China hoping he'd invade Russia. Russia fully disregarded his own run to end mine. I made a destroyer in case he goes for my capital, and I just kept taking African countries. When I saw his bomber fly over, I made a fighter in case he's going for a mass bombing, and he started sending destroyers but no land units, so I wasn't really worried and kept capturing AI. 20 minutes into the game, he finally declares on me with 3,400 tanks going for my African land. I only had 800 tanks, but mine were jungle specialized and his weren't. So I went for a flank maneuver since my tanks are faster against his 1700 tank stack and I got tank tech. His tanks were weak and all of them died despite me being really outnumbered. After he realized his invasion failed, he left the game and I came out with minor damage. But since I spent all that research on tanks, I'd get quantum much later on than I would have if I didn't spend that research. After the encounter with Russia, I just kept invading AI countries until I got quantum, and I made sure not to peace Russia so China could take Russia's land and form Qing because he got added to the war. I got quantum in 2023 and suddenly China sends me $1 billion in aid to me. And I asked him for manpower too, and he sent me more manpower. So I just made as many tanks as I could and blitzkrieged all over Africa. By the way, I'm going to form EU with only artillery when I hit 100 subscribers. So please subscribe if you've enjoyed this video so far, because I'm going to try to make the best videos possible. Now I've gone all the way down to South Africa, and at this point of the game, I have 150 million population and a pretty good tank tech, so I built up a force to invade Brazil. Brazil seemed like a new player and didn't develop much and didn't take much land, so I thought he was a pretty good target. I sent around 15,000 tanks and auto-captured. USA was AI, so no American invasion this game. The Brazil war took longer because he had Venezuela, so I specialized and sent them through land to take it. After the Brazil war ended, my treasury decreased a ton because I had insane deficit during the entire war, so I just cleaned up the rest of Africa. When playing as small countries, your strength kind of grows like a snowball because it starts off very small and then slowly gets bigger and bigger. Well, it's kind of like that as any country, but for St. Helena, I don't have a square city at the start. As I was taking East Africa, the Portugal player declared on my ally and started taking me. I already had a lot of war exhaustion before the war started, so it was a big problem for me. He captured some of my land with around 2 million troops, and I sent my 9,000 tank stack to kill them and recapture. Morocco sent ships to help Portugal, so I had to make my own escort ships. I auto-captured Portugal, but he stopped my landing with a long line of troops, and unfortunately I made no progress because of his entrenchment. After this, my war exhaustion became too high and it started to kill my stability. I had 7 war exhaustion because of my losses, and this was where my country started declaring independence. Portugal was communism, which decreases war exhaustion, so he had no war exhaustion despite his losses. He ended up with 10 million losses, which is 10 times more than me, but I still got more war exhaustion. So basically, I automatically lose any long war if I didn't choose communism just because of how war exhaustion works. The whole war exhaustion mechanic needs to be reworked in my opinion, because you shouldn't be punished for playing aggressively. But HyperRAN's too lazy to update the game anyways, so complaining won't do anything. In the end, I unfortunately lose due to war exhaustion. Like and subscribe for more epic content, guys.